everybody. This is Felicia Hamilton from the Kind Curiosity podcast, where we have the audacity to be kind. I am here today with someone that I absolutely am very fond of. He has a business that is about helping individuals that are differently abled gain life skills so that they can be on their own, so that they can live their life to the fullest of their abilities. And I think his story is just awesome. The business is called Promoting Abilities. And I want you all to welcome Mr. Greg Maloney. Greg, nice to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite.
I want to talk about your business and what gave you the inspiration to start it. But first of all, tell us what your business is, when it was started, and what you do.
Sure. So, my business is called Promoting Abilities. I'm actually the founder and creator of the program in its entirety. And it was established in 2018, officially started working with individuals or client based. And it became a necessity for me to develop and create this program because it's just not something that's available to individuals with disabilities and trying to help develop them.
When you say it wasn't available, so are you saying there were programs, but they didn't fulfill the need that you think needed to be fulfilled?
Correct. So there
Okay.
there are programs that claim that they are truly there to help develop and transition out of the lives of other disabled adults. But I've been in the field 2+ decades that when individuals get involved with what we call a provider that's helping them, they stay involved for a very long period of time and they really don't transition out and they really don't try to develop them. So my goal in creating this program was that I wanted to work myself out of a job. I wanted to get to the point where there would be an ending point of our working relationship, just like you would go to school. You know, you don't go to school for the rest of your life. You eventually learn the information and then it's up to you to apply it.
Essentially, what you are trying to help, and I like to use the word differently abled.
Sure, that's fine.
Because it doesn't feel restricting.
Okay.
But it sounds like what you're doing is you are allowing these individuals to feel more like you and I, where
Correct.
they can go out themselves and do things themselves. So give me some specifics on what it is that you teach them.
Sure. When I get involved working with somebody, my goal is to first learn what do they want to see their lifestyle become. And I have what we call pillars or foundational teachings that I want to work with them on. So I want to teach them how to improve their overall mental health. And one of the ways you can do that is you can build individuals up self esteem wise and self worth wise, and getting them out of their comfort zone in a positive way and approach and allow them to access their community, allow them to build long term, meaningful relationships of individuals that are like minded, that think like them, that have the same goals and mindset as they do. So I have a small group that I work with, and a lot of these individuals become friends and they socialize with each other. So, one of the main avenues I work with them on or resources is teach them public transportation in our area. It's a huge benefit. It's a program that allows individuals to get to point A to point B, whatever that looks like, whether it's a job, whether it's a future apartment, whether it's their medical appointments, their counseling, their friendships. They have an ability on their own independently to be able to access those. So that's something that I work and pride myself on. I also pride myself on teaching them how to put together weekly menus, how to base it on a budget, how to select quality food so they're not wasting money. And then I take that and we actually teach them how to follow instructions and how to make 50 to 70 meals. So the time they leave my program, they are eating nutritional meals. It's based on the FDA's Choose My Plate, the 5 main food groups, and the goal is to teach them also, um, what their living arrangements could be for an apartment. So we take them on tours, we help them with if they need any funding assistance with, Section 8, and we allow them then to basically interview apartment managers and essentially get them to transition on their own and live in their own apartment. So, and then also we work with them on developing job skills and soft skills so they can be successful in community employment. So, those are the main things that we focus on at promoting abilities. We truly have these able-bodied individuals that we talked about.
Mhm.
We want to get them to a point where they can be successful. They can stand on their own 2 feet, and they can be individuals that can thrive in our community and be really an asset.
I was just thinking of a question and you actually answered it. What does success look like to a graduate of your program? So, how long is the program? Does it vary per individual or is it a standard time frame?
Sure. That's a good question, Felicia. So,
Mhm.
essentially, what it looks like is individuals live on their own, they have a community job. The goal is to get them to break an industry standard we have. We have this false sense that disabled adults can't work full time and that they have to be reliant on state benefits. And I teach them, that's a stepping stone for you. That's a nice perk or resource, but you can do so much better if we develop you, then you can make more money. You can have just a higher quality of life. So that's what we teach them. And these individuals, like I said, they're going to their own appointments on their own. They're handling their own business. They're maintaining their own apartment. They have healthy relationships. They're accessing their communities. So the benefit we have, because we have such a small group, we can cater to them. Once they come into our program, we develop an individualized plan. And wherever they're at, we will have them mold to what we are working on skill wise and life skill development. And eventually, the timeline, they dictate it. So we move as quickly as they allow themselves by applying the skills that we're teaching them. Because a lot of them will know maybe academically some of these skills, but to actually apply it real life is a whole nother level. So once they're demonstrating and actually using the um, skills that we're teaching them, then that's when we allow them to graduate each skill day, we call it. And then eventually they graduate the entire program. Typically, individuals will come to us and they can graduate as soon as a year, is probably an aggressive timeline, or as long as 3, 4 years.
Okay. So you're essentially giving them the tools that they need to be completely independent. Not as if, like you said, you're breaking the barrier of what the standard should be for a disabled person, and you're giving them the tools to go beyond that and to live a full and successful life. That's what it sounds like.
That is the ideal candidate, and that's the ideal situation. Now, we have individuals that don't accomplish those milestones while we're involved, but it's not because of a lack of effort. It's not because of lack of, pride on our standpoint. We're trying to get them to do that, and sometimes I always say it's a matter of timeline, and it's a matter of timing, and if they're not ready to make the changes, th and they're not applying the skills, well, then we're not gonna be successful. We're not gonna succeed together, but for the individuals that do take that pride and do take that, reins, so to speak, and move forward, those individuals are exactly what you just described. They have really no supports and they are handling their entire life. They might have natural supports like you and I. You might lean on a parent, or you might lean on a cousin or a sister or somebody in your professional life that you've gained some trust. And your understanding is, hey, if I go to that person, I can lean on them for just some advice. And that's essentially what they do. And that's no different than you and I.
Okay, it's the name of this podcast is the Kind Curiosity Podcast. And it's where we have the audacity to be kind because in today's environment, kindness seems to be something that people don't want anymore, or they may say they want it, but they're not exhibiting that. And it sounds like to me, this promoting abilities, this company was set up out of kindness because you didn't want to see people who were differently able stuck in that box that society has put them in. So, out of your kindness, you created this company. And what I want to find out from you is because when I met you in person, I was like, wow, you exude that kindness that I'm looking for in the world, and you exude the kindness that made me create this podcast. Because now in today's society, being mean is the norm. So, thinking about kindness and how it impacts your business, how much of that would you say that if you weren't a kind business owner, if you weren't kind to the students that you have, if you didn't teach them to be kind and people around them to be kind, how much of that do you think would impact your students and how they move forward? Like, would it, if you weren't kind, would they even respond to you, first of all?
I really don't think that I would be successful with them. These
Mhm.
are individuals that they have experienced the worldly treatment on not being kind. They have not succeeded. They've kind of closed themselves to even the ability or the openness to even try to be a better version of themselves. And that's one of the expressions I have when I work with them. I tell them right off the bat, my first meeting, I tell them, I'm going to give it my all and I'm going to try to help you as well as my staff. Melissa, we're going to work with you to the best of our abilities. And we need your buy-in and you are a critical piece of this whole scenario, whether we're going to be successful or not. And if I can get them to buy into it, by being kind, by role model. You know, that is a sense of kindness by demonstrating and being patient with them because there's a lot of providers that, you know, they don't have the patience and they don't have the drive and motivation to truly break things down for them and to keep working on skills and come up with innovative strategies that are individualized to help them be successful. And that is something that you have to have. And I always put myself in their shoes or from their perspective. How would I want somebody to talk to me in this situation? How would I want somebody to treat me? And I think that's always served me well because when you can look at things from somebody else's perspective, it gives you a lot of insight. It gives you a lot of understanding on maybe what they're experiencing barrier wise and how can you help them. So that's what we do. Wherever they're at, we help develop them, you know, at that standpoint and keep working on them and bridging these skills so they can be successful at the end of the day.
I love that. So you mentioned you gain their trust. Their
Hmm.
trust is gained, and I know that the only way I can you can gain my trust is if you're kind to me. If you don't develop what you were talking about, which is empathy, and you don't
Hmm.
try to see things my way, then I'm not gonna trust you. I'm not gonna believe that you have my best interests at heart. And,
Right.
as we're moving through this climate of division and divisiveness, we have people who make fun of disabled people, people who are in leadership roles.
Hmm.
And how do you with your students, because I'm sure you don't have just one student per class,
Correct.
you have students that are interacting with each other. If you have a student that is not exhibiting kindness or is exhibiting some sort of meanness, how do you address that with the students?
Yeah, it actually before we accept so in our program, we deny and accept people. So
Okay.
when an individual has what I call good character or a potential for good character, we will accept them into our program. We'll give them an opportunity to prove themselves because anybody can say anything. Oh, I'm going to do all this stuff. Well, Okay, show me action wise. Don't just talk about it. So, one of the things that we tell them right off the bat, it is a cultural expectation we have in our program that we are going to establish that they have to be kind to one another. So, the standard we have is very high compared to my competitors. We do not allow bullying. We do not allow individuals to talk aggressively towards each other, even when they're frustrated or confused in the moment. We tell them, all right, you should really filter those thoughts. You should really, the message was good, but the delivery we got to work on. And we bring that to their attention right in the moment. Those are the best teaching moments. And we explain to them if they truly don't understand, we explain to them how they should approach a discussion or a situation, and we role model for them, and then we expect them in return to do the same. So we're setting a standard, and one of the things that we do is we tell them when you first come into our facility where that's our meeting point, and then we go out in the community and actually learn these skills. We tell them you have to greet people. That's a standard that we have right away. We want you to greet staff. We do not want you to walk past us without acknowledging us because you are setting a tone that we're not important then. And everybody in our program, including staff, is important. So we have that expectation and we want them to do the same with what we call participants because we don't force anybody to come to us. Nobody's court ordered or anything like that. They have to buy into the process. They have to be willing to make the changes. Otherwise, um, we're not going to be successful at the end of the day. So we have that expectation or standard that they greet one another. And that just sets the tone right away. And if you're consistent in your messages, in your delivery on things, when you're working and teaching, they wanna role model that, and we see them copying us all the time. And if we make expression, they'll go ahead and just role model that. And what a great way and an opportunity or platform for us to be able to teach them how to conduct themselves. And we always tell them, we're going to make you a better person. We really are. You're going to be a better version of yourself. And one of the things that we work really hard on is manners, basic manners. Please, thank you, my pleasure. How can I help you? Those things are expectations. And my competitors, that's not anything they focus on. And it's a life skill that's lost, and or if we see veterans out in the community, they role model what we do. We always tell them, "Thank you for serving this country. I appreciate your service." And then they go and they Paul parrot it as well. So we are leading by example, and I think that's so important. Or if we're out in the community and we're holding a main door, maybe going into a museum or a different space, we tell them, don't just let the door close. If you see somebody behind you, hold it open for them. Be kind to them. And that's important. And we do, Felicia, encounter people that are unkind to us. And we role model to them. We tell them, look, don't make the situation worse. Don't escalate the situation. Watch how we handle it and just mimic what we do. And they've learned how to handle themselves when they have somebody that's being unkind or talking to them, talking down to them. And so that's the greatest moments and the greatest opportunities for us to show them how to conduct themselves when somebody's being unkind to you. And they always tell us, "Wow, you handled that really good," when that person talked to you that way, disrespectfully. And we say, "Yes," because it's how you respond. That's the most important thing at the end of the day. If you can handle yourself and conduct yourself a certain way, it doesn't matter what political figures, what people are in different leadership roles. We want you to be a leader, not a follower in life. So if you can conduct yourself the right way, the positive ways, you will be more successful.
That was actually gonna be my next question is, have you encountered people while you have them out in the public that are rude or that are nasty, and how would you respond? And so that was a good follow-up to that because I love the fact that you're also teaching them that not everyone is kind. Not
Correct.
everyone understands or even wants to understand what your story is, and sometimes people see people with different abilities as a threat, and they don't realize that's what they see them as. So, understanding that you all deal with that as well, and
Mhm.
that you're trying to model behavior, as you said, I think
Yes.
that's an excellent example of kind curiosity and having the audacity to be kind because what you're doing is you're going against what society is now telling us is okay.
Correct.
Society is now telling us it's okay to be nasty, it's okay to be rude, it's okay to be disrespectful, and you're saying, "No, that's not the case. We want you to be
Correct.
nice. We want you to be kind because at the end of the day, that's what matters." So I like that and appreciate, and I think you and your staff are doing a good job with that. So, how many, students would you say have you graduated successfully so far?
So we have graduated successfully 40% of individuals since we've
Okay.
served. It is a challenge for anybody to make big life changes, right? And
Yeah.
the things that we're expecting to help them with is they're large skills. Living on your own is not a small task.
Mhm.
You having a community job and working full-time status, that's not a small task. You learning how to budget and manage your finances. I mean, there's people that struggle with that through this country all the time. And that's a real problem area for individuals. So we want to teach them how, at the end of the day, to be successful. In order to do that, they have to make a lot of sacrifices and a lot of changes in order to um, work diligently to be successful. And in society, there's a lot of resources and services that help them, and I feel like it enables them, unfortunately. And so, what we want to do is we want to teach them, look, those are good stepping stones. Those are good opportunities for you, but you can have a better version of your life and you can be more successful and you can be more independent. So if that's what you're wanting to do, we can help you in that area. I don't want to always focus on, well, we have less than 50%, success rate as far as people completely graduating and moving on with their lives. Um, that's in the real world, that's actually a big percentage, to be honest with you. And I'm proud that we are having success in general with able-bodied individuals and teaching them how to be a better version of themselves at the end of the day. And that's what's really important, that we can impact not quantity, but quality individuals, and we can get through to some of them. And that's why I'm in business, is to help them. For the ones that truly want the help, I'll teach you how to get there. And for the ones that don't, I know that we'll at least give them an opportunity to make an impact in their life. And again, maybe it's about timing. And maybe later on, they'll reflect back and say, you know what, that was a missed opportunity for me. I'm going to work harder in the future. And they might have to develop some other skills before they can fully commit, or they need to have different things lined up in their life. And that's okay.
Can you share a success story that showcases what's possible when they graduate? Have you had someone come back and say, "You know what? This was the best thing that ever happened to me," or their family members or someone in their life that said this was absolutely the best thing that they could have done?
Yeah, absolutely. So thankfully I have multiple individuals that are in that same line. And so one in particular though I always like to share is an individual came straight out of high school, graduated high school, and the academic staff told them they weren't going to ever be working on their own independently. They were always going to need somebody there to help assist them. and this individual wouldn't live on their own. This individual wouldn't be able to go to places on their own. They would always need like a chaperone or somebody shadowing
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
And they definitely couldn't grocery shop or manage their finances, and, they really didn't see a lifestyle of independence for them. Now,
Mhm.
this individual not only works full-time, this individual had the CEO of the company come down, personally meet them because they receive so many awards on customer service and, work performance evaluations where they excelled. They were outperforming, um, all their peers, and that's a huge honor. And this individual takes public transportation. I get to see them periodically. This individual, goes to their own appointments. This individual manages their own apartment without any supports. They've done that for, multiple years now, and they are eating healthy, and they have a healthy lifestyle, and they have a better balance with their parents because their parents are no longer their caregiver. They have a relationship that is, typical, where they can come and visit or come for a meal, and they can actually enjoy their time versus doing the caregiver role. So, we've been able to relieve their parents of that, I'll say, burden or challenge, and we've allowed them to redevelop and reshape their relationship in a more positive manner, and it's more mature, and this individual is so much more responsible, and they are very happy with their life, and they've expressed to me that they would be willing to go on even, the news at some point, or um, social media platform or whatnot, and be interviewed because that's how big of an impact we were for them.
Wow, I love that. That is awesome.
Mhm.
Okay. So, piggybacking off of that, how can the community as a whole better support adults with developmental challenges? How can we exhibit our kind curiosity when we see you out in public with your schedule of classes, your cohort of classes, and your individuals that you're with? How can we better support, and what can the community do to support you in this effort?
I think the first thing as an industry, we can do a better job on developing able-bodied individuals. We are not we do not have a high quality development process, and that's why the my program was created out of necessity because it's not being done. And so we can also push them to and challenge them to be better versions of themselves, and try to empower them more versus enabling them, because we enable them all the time. For instance, oh, instead of learning public transportation and having you go to places on your own, well, we can provide a taxpayer service where basically we can have a company come pick you up door to door and drop you off wherever you want to go in your community, and that's giving them the wrong message. That's telling them that it's okay not to try in life. It's okay not to work hard in life. And we'll always be there to, assist you and again enable you to not grow as an individual. Or when it comes to jobs, like if you're not developing them and they're not learning how to be independent in that workplace, it's either the wrong fit, you haven't built a setting where their skills match up with the job. And so, of course, they're going to need somebody constantly there to help support them. And that's doing them a disservice. It's much better to put them in the right uh, fit setting wise, to allow them to do it on their own and teach them, bridge those
Mhm.
skills so they can do the job on their own. They might need a job support in the beginning, but give them the tools and the resources and the techniques so they can do it on their own. And I wish our industry did that more. And
Mhm.
I wish that our industry would say, I know it's your preference to get picked up and brought to whatever destination you want, but it's it's not okay to use taxpayers' wasteful dollars on this when you're capable and able to do public transportation. We have this service for a reason, and it's a huge benefit, and at the end of the day, you're gonna be able to do this on your own, and I think that's a huge area that we're missing.
So, for companies that want to hire individuals with developmental challenges or individuals that graduate from your program, what should their first step be?
Their first step should be is try to network with providers that serve able-bodied individuals and try to do a good job of again matching individuals with job positions that meet their skill sets and do a better job of developing them in that process so they can be successful. So, like a partnership, and individuals that want to, you know, come to like my program, for instance, and develop them. They can reach out, they can contact me, um, and promotingabilities.com, and I'm there to help support them. And I hope that somebody gives them that opportunity at the end of the day to grow and develop. I think it's important that we embrace that. We embrace that culture. And so that's essentially what I would do. And I would try to network with these providers and tell them and be honest with them and tell them this is a standard or expectations we need from the workforce that
Mhm.
you have potential, and if they don't meet that criteria, then I wish people were more open and honest with them and tell them that it's not okay to have meltdowns. It's not okay to conduct yourself a certain way. And if they did that, that would be holding them accountable more. And I think we would have a better system or a better approach.
We'll definitely put the contact information in the podcast because we do want to help you grow because the philosophy of promoting abilities is to be kind and to show people kindness but allow them to grow. So let's look at some personal reflection. What has this work taught you about yourself?
It's taught me that I'm always learning and I can always be a better version of myself, and I can always push myself further on different ways or approaches I can take to allow these able-bodied individuals to be successful. And so the best thing is I'm evolving and developing right with them. And I have learned that you have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to accept that you're not a finished product yourself. And it's okay to admit that, and it's okay to show that vulnerability to them as well, and tell them, when you're wrong as well. Because sometimes I think when we're in a teacher or leadership role, so many times we try to, I would say, disguise it or hide it, um, our vulnerabilities, and I think that's a disservice. I think we need to show that we're human too, and that we make mistakes, but also that how do we respond in those moments when we make a mistake? And how do we conduct ourselves? As a true leader, that's the best way you can show somebody by leading through examples of real life scenarios on how you navigate through that process. I think that's important for individuals to see that. And that's something that myself and my staff do regularly is we admit when we're wrong in something, and we tell them, we made a mistake, but see how we handled ourselves. That's the important thing, how we handled ourselves the right way. And so we are basically practicing what we're teaching. And I think that's important too. Um, One of the things is I take public transportation personally. And because what kind of teacher would I be if my expectation is, well, this is a great opportunity for you, an avenue for you to take in your own life, but yet I never take it. That would be I feel like that would be hypocritical. I also think that um when I'm working out with these individuals and teaching them how to have a good healthy lifestyle, that's one of the other things we do is I participate as well. I don't just stand there and watch them. I engage with them as well. And I think that's important. Again, if that's the standard I have, then I want to see them doing it as well. And when we're grocery shopping, I'm right next to them. I'm there helping support them. And I think that's important, teaching them.
Mhm. I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. What moments keep you motivated on difficult days? What
I
keeps you
think,
motivated?
yeah, I think just the success that we've had, I think that's important.
Okay. And last question, how do you hope promoting abilities will be remembered 20 years from now?
I want them to be able to have more individuals with success stories. I want
Mhm.
them to be able to be in a position where at the end of the day, um, they have a quality life that they desire. And that's important. And that's my ultimate goal with every individual I work with. So 20 years from now, I hope that we just have more individuals that have been able to break the mold of the industry and they are able-bodied individuals, so if we can teach them how to handle themselves, how to conduct themselves, they can hopefully return that or reciprocate that to other individuals, and they can see, "Oh, just because they have some barriers in their life, I can do it though, because they did it." So they can be good role models.
Well, Greg Maloney, thank you very much
Thank you so
for
much.
being on the podcast. And for those that are interested, it's called Promoting Abilities. It's promotingabilities.com. They can be found on Facebook and on Google. And I would advise you to check them out. It is a really awesome program. It's a really awesome thing that he's doing to allow individuals that are differently able to live a full and exciting life. Kind Curiosity Podcast. We promote kindness through curiosity, but most of all, we have the audacity to be kind. I thank you all for joining, and we'll see you again next time.